welcome to Rubbing Minds. My name is Isabella Adediji. In a democracy, the people hold the power. That's why we say it's power for the people, by the people, and of the people. But in Nigeria, where we practice a democracy, can you really say the people hold the power? And how much does politics come into play when it comes to the affairs of the everyday man? Where is the power? Who holds the power? And as we plan for the 2027 general elections, what's the polity in the air? What's the politics saying? To discuss this, I have with me in the studio a lawyer in the person of Wale Oshunde. Wale, welcome to Rubbing Minds.
Thanks for having me.
Now, thank you for honoring our invitation. When we think about politics, when we think about power, do you believe that the people truly hold the power, or is it the politicians, or is it the institutions? Where does power lie?
So if you ask me that question in the context of a world perspective.
No, Nigeria
In
perspective.
Nigeria. So if we are to talk about it in the global perspective, I would say, of course, the people. All right. But if you bring it back home and you say, who is holding onto power or who holds power in Nigeria, I would say the political class, So obviously not the people. And I think the time has come for the people to truly know the weight of the power that they wield and that, they can actually dissipate through electioneering process. And they need to take this seriously right now because the highest office in the land is the office of the citizen. Unfortunately, the political class, through various machineries, through various mechanisms, have constantly and consistently, whittled down the power of the people. They have used tools such as religion, such as ethnicity, such as poverty, to whittle down the powers of the people. But in the real essence of things, if we are to really put things down on a scale, I think the people must know that they have so much power to determine what happens to them politically, what happens to them in terms of governance, what happens to them in terms of nation building. So I would say, really, the people should be, the real owners of powers, but in Nigeria, it is not so anymore.
So why do you think they give up that power so easily, or why is it so accessible by the political class?
I mean, like I told you, the political class have used certain tools to whittle down the powers of the people. Religion, we know the two prominent religions in this country, Christianity, Islam. When it is time for politics, you then see politicians moving around saying, oh, yeah, you are a Christian, I'm a Muslim. If you must be my vice president or deputy governor or vice chairman of a local government, you must be a Muslim or a Christian, all of those kind of things, right? And then they leave us fighting one another basically to settle that balance. Another thing that they use, of course, is poverty. So when the people are impoverished, extremely impoverished, they really cannot stand up to say, okay, yes, I want to vote this guy because he should be there, because I think that he has the character, the elements, the traits, of a good leader who is really going to help me and make life comfortable for everybody in our community. So what you then see is people buying votes, is people really trying to survive as against voting their conscience, all of those kind of things. And then another thing, like I said, is ethnicity. So you see a situation where you are not a Yoruba person, I just want to vote my brother because he's from a particular segment of the country or society. I think all of these are tools that politicians have discovered over time, and they have used these tools to whittle down the potency of the power of the people. And I think, like I said, the time has come for the people to congregate at that juncture where we tell ourselves core truth. And, it is to really tell ourselves, our brothers and our sisters, that we must begin to institutionalize the power that the people really hold in politics and in governance, And it is only until that time that we are able to really congregate at such a juncture that the country will really move forward.
When will that time come? And what needs to happen? Is there a zeitgeist on the horizon? Is there a turning point, or is it just going to be business as usual? Are we just going to keep having these same conversations over and over again, or is something going to actually give?
Unfortunately, if we don't take the bull by the horn and tell ourselves the real truths as citizens, it will never happen. Because politicians are never going to give that chance, for people to really understand that they hold the real power in their hands, and that they can really determine what happens, who governs the country, who governs their societies, But I think for people who already know, people who are aware, of the existence of this power, of the existence of these rights, they are the ones who are supposed to galvanize the system, the structure across board, be it at a local government level, be it at a state level, or be it at even a federal level, all right, to ensure that we hold our political elites to account. If somebody is a senator, like that popular song, senators well. If you are a local government chairman, chairman as well, or chair as well, right? And if you're a governor, you should govern as well. And we really need to then hold our leaders to account, call them from time to time, ask them critical questions. Look, I believe that the political class also want to do some really positive things in the country, you see. And then we, as citizens, we must also ensure that we do not overload and overburden these people with demands that are not, in tandem with the spirit and the letters of the job that we have asked them to do. And I give you a very simple instance. We need a road that leads from zone A to zone B in a community. And whilst the governor is still trying to figure it out in terms of how to get the money, the people of that community, maybe if the governor goes there to visit them, people are expecting that when he's going, he has to drop something. He has to give them money. All right.
But do you think that people won't be as demanding
Yeah.
if they saw their politicians being judicious with the funds? Because there's this sense of, well, he's the one or she's the one enjoying the largesse. So let me also have my own piece of the national cake. If our politicians are cutting their coats to size, do you think the Nigerian citizens will still demand for those handouts?
So two-pronged approach. One would be that the leaders should lead by example. When you're telling people to take things easy, to bear with the government, we should be seeing that you're also doing the same. That's one. And then number two, you must be sincere with your programs and policies, right? If you're telling the people, look, we're going to figure this out, we're going to sort your roads, we're going to sort healthcare, we're going to sort education, we should see that you are indeed making efforts, you are making moves to make all of these things happen. So I think it goes hand in hand. When you're telling the people to bear with the government and that you are really going to do some of these policies and programs, we should see that from your own perspective, you are leading by example, and then again, you are putting in the right policies and the right programs towards ensuring that those things, those critical items that you have highlighted to the people are delivered to them. I think Nigerians are extremely patient people. From what I can see, a lot of things going on in this country that can never happen in other countries. The country would have blown up, right? But Nigerians are extremely patient people. They are extremely persevering people, and they are very hardworking people. So with all of these ingredients, I think with the right kind of government and people in offices, leadership, I think all of these will come together really.
As we approach the 2027 elections, all eyes are on who's going to be next governor, at least in a state like Lagos, where Governor Sanwo-Olu will be completing his second term. All eyes are going to see if the opposition is going to bring out a credible candidate that can challenge the incumbent. Do you think the turn-by-turn politics is what Nigerians should be expecting, in the sense that, okay, when it's time for the North, we do the North. When it's time for the South, we do the South. Or should it be a true meritocratic process where it doesn't matter whether you're from the North or the South, the East or West? If you're good for the job, then you should, and you don't need to wait your turn.
So to be honest with you, and I tell you my personal view, I think at the federal level, we need to structure in some balancing. Because if we don't do so, then we might find ourselves in a situation where a particular segment of the society or the country is constantly and consistently, in office, all right, and leading the land, right? So I think that from the federal system that we are saying we are running, if it is truly federal in nature, then we need to amend the Constitution, because the Constitution right now says anybody can actually contest an election. So once you think you want to contest, just go ahead. But I think that we need to amend our constitution to allow for some balancing, right? And then it should be southern and then northern balancing, all right? Because we need to be realistic and then, wake up to the reality of our climb, right? We have some people from the north, some people from the south. So why not put in a bit of balance in there such that, once somebody does his own term, but I'm in favor of just one single tenure of 5 years, all right? I don't believe in, 2 years or 4 term each, right? So I believe one term, 5 years, somebody from the north, he pilots the affairs of the country, he leaves the place, somebody from the south should also come in, and, like that. I think it is really good for our nation. But when it comes to the state and local governments, I do not see how we want to really put in that sort of balancing
But that
because
actually happens on a state level. In a state where you have different ethnicities or different tribes, there tends to be a rotation. Okay, so this time the governorship is given to a certain tribe, then it moves to another tribe so that there's that balance. So why are you okay with that on a federal level and not so much a state level?
exactly, because there is really no way to partition the state. When I look at it, so tell me, someone in Lagos, for example, how are we going to partition that? Are we
Well,
going to
you
say
could
island,
say
mainland, or?
Ikorodu, Badagry. You could say, oh, what are the senatorial districts?
Yeah.
You know them, Ikorodu,
Yes.
Badagry, Apapa, Lagos Island, Lagos Mainland, Surulere. Has each of these senatorial districts produced a governor? That could be another way to look at it.
Anyway, well, I think that is actually very factual. If we are to look along the lines of senatorial districts, being that we have 3 senatorial districts per state, all right? So that can actually work, and I will probably vote for it, all right? But I mean, I'm just looking at, Lagos as an example on a flat scale right now, I'm just looking at it. How are we really going to segment it? Do we say people from the island or the mainland? But I think you have actually preferred a possible solution to
No,
it
I'm
using
just
the
going
Senate.
back to
Yeah,
what you're saying, that federal, we should do the turn by turn. The North, one time the South, the East, the West, so that one group is not marginalized and
that's right.
one is not very dominant.
Yeah.
And I think once you start on the federal, the same thing is expected. Even when you look at things like ruling families, they tend to rotate depending on the culture. Now, how do we disabuse the minds of Nigerians to look beyond the money involved and vote who their candidate is? Because a lot of times, these politicians incentivize people's voting decisions with money.
Yeah. So I think that's a brilliant one. The truth is that we can only talk to our brothers and sisters. Politicians are never going to stop doing these things, but we need to talk to our brothers and sisters at, community levels, at, local government level, even ward levels, right? To let them know that, look, this money would only help you for one day or maybe less than a day, Somebody gives you 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira. What exactly can that buy? And then you sell your conscience. You sell the next 4 years, probably even more, because of 5,000 naira or 10,000 naira. Whilst I know that that money is big money to some people, because we need to be very realistic with the level of poverty in our society today, it's a lot of money to some people for a day or even a week, right? Or even a month, in some cases. But we need to then let them know there are pros and cons to all of these things. And mostly, in fact, we have a lot of disadvantages because I can't really see what the positive side of collecting 5,000 naira or 10,000 naira from a politician for the next 4 years would be, all right? So, but through constant and consistent engagement with these people, sensitization, letting them know, look, you collect this 5,000 naira, it is the future of your children. This guy would definitely want to recoup his money. He's investing, and then he needs more money. That's why they will still loot the entire treasury before another cycle of elections. So I think we just need to continue to orientate our people, talk to our sisters, talk to our brothers. If you look at it, Nigeria as a country, we are closely knit. I come from a particular local government, you are from somewhere. If we all then go back on galvanized support in favor of, meritocracy, in favor of, voting our respective consciences, I think it will resonate someday. And then, of course, one last thing would be that the government should be sincere. There should be a law punishing people who are caught for vote buying. There is a law at the moment, but it is not implemented. So how do we then ensure? I'm in support, for example, for the creation of special courts, all right, to prosecute electoral offenses. How do we ensure that we galvanize support, towards ensuring that that is a reality? When that becomes a reality, election violators will be punished within a specified period of time, short period of time, such that they can then become the examples that people are yearning for, right? When I see that somebody has gone to prison, somebody has been arrested, somebody has been arraigned in court, when I'm then talking to my brothers and sisters at home, it resonates. They get to understand that the law is not just going to punish the person who has given or offered, the law is also going to punish the receiver, of that money. And nobody really wants to go to prison.
But don't you think that sometimes justice does take its time going through the court system? And how transparent have these proceedings been? Do you still have faith in the courts? Because a lot of times these politicians go to the polls and the next thing, as the result is being declared, they are going to the appeal court to go and challenge the decisions. And that hasn't always worked in their favor. So what's the guarantee that a special court will be any different?
I tell you one thing, Isabella, look, and people have actually narrated all sorts of formats for this. Look for honest, very people of massive integrity in this country, ex-judges or retired judges, let them be, in charge of these special courts that will try electoral offenders or violators. I tell you, and give them a time frame. Just like in the issue of electoral petition matters, you have to decide it within a specific period of time. Also let them know that if you are trying electoral offenses, they need to be dispensed with within a particular period of time. Once that is written in a particular law, don't take it to a regular court. The judges in the regular courts are already overloaded with work. Let's be honest with ourselves. Can we then set up fresh, different courts to prosecute, electoral offenses? Give them time frames, write down straightforward laws, and then I tell you this thing would move. It would move very fast, right? Let it be ex-judges, people who are already old. They are not looking for anything. They are not likely to be influenced by any politician because at that point in time, they know it's about service to the nation. And they know that, look, they're already at the body lounge, I'm just trying to put it very nicely. So if you put someone who is 70 years old, in such a court, and he knows that people are watching, and let it be televised live. People are watching, media is covering this thing every day, and it is definitely going to tell on his integrity at the end of the day. I'm telling you, things will move in this country, and then politicians would know. You just need to make one example of someone, that's all. Just one example, and people will sit up. Not only politicians, even ordinary citizens. You see, we play with the law a lot because we do not see real justice in sight. A lot of people just do whatever they like because they feel, look, what is going to happen if I do it? And then, like you said, you take me to court, it stays there for 7 years, it stays there for 13 years. When I was just called to the bar, I went to court the first day, I was told that there was a land case that was in court for 20 years. Can you imagine that? People have even died, in the family that is litigating.
Not to mention all the money that will be spent. That makes lawyers like you happy because you're getting paid, but people have to wait years before they see justice.
It's really unfair, but I tell you one thing. If people see speedy dispensation of justice, speedy processes, you'd see that even nobody would need to go to any lawyer at some point, I'm telling you. Or maybe it would be very, very minimal, But people don't see real justice in this country. It is only someone who has stolen something small, something little, and then we blow it out of proportion. Of course, the law should take its course. But then those ones who have stolen billions, they would hire the best lawyers and then, wiggle out of it, and nothing happens. That does not show good example to the people. I think that is actually the crux of the matter.
And you mentioned the media. How much can the media play in informing the citizens, but also holding the ruling class accountable?
A lot. The media can do a lot. Look, nobody can even... I don't think we can quantify the role of the media here, I'm telling you. And you see that on Channels TV, for instance, they're doing quite a lot. You see all sorts of programs, interviewing people, calling on governments and government officials to do certain things. And you see these things being implemented, I'm telling you. But if nobody is talking, nobody is saying anything, I tell you, we'll just carry on with business as usual. But I think the real message is that when the media is really ready, and they partner with civil society organizations and even the office of the citizen. By that, I mean everybody gets on board. I tell you, when we push, the politicians will listen. I know they listen, but only when people congregate at a juncture that makes them know that we are serious about certain demands. And that's exactly what has worked. If you look at the demand structure in this country, it is only when people come together and they tell the leaders, this is what we want. We want this at all costs. Even when it is not easy and convenient for the leaders, they make things happen.
I believe that's commendation, but also motivation for us in the media to keep up the work in shining the light on these very important issues. And hopefully it will move beyond the talk to actually seeing real change and action that will benefit this country. Thank you very much, Wale Oshinde, for being our guest on Rubbing Minds.
Really pleasure. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.